We need to talk about weed. Not in the way your stoner cousin talks about it. Not in the way TikTok influencers glamorize it. And definitely not the way politicians pretend to care about it during election cycles. We need to talk about weed honestly. Because something strange is happening. We went from criminalizing it to commercializing it. Somewhere in between, we lost the truth. Asterisk cannabis is not new, it's ancient. Used in Chinese medicine over 2,000 years ago. Used in Indian. Ayurvedic practices. Used in spiritual ceremonies. In America, it wasn't controversial until power got involved. In the 1930s, a man named Harry Anslinger, head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, launched a full-scale attack on marijuana. He linked it to violence, insanity, and jazz musicians. Yes, really, he said, quote, "Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men." It was about racism, control, propaganda. Then came the 1970s, Nixon. The war on drugs, cannabis, was classified as a Schedule I drug, same level as heroin. Science was ignored. Communities were devastated. Asterisk, let's talk numbers. Black Americans are 3.6 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than white Americans, even though both groups use it at roughly the same rate. Let that sink in. Entire generations locked up for a plant that today, rich investors are making millions from. We legalized it, but not for everyone. In fact, in many states you can't work in the cannabis industry if you have a prior drug conviction. So the very people who were punished the most are excluded from the profit. This isn't just about weed. This is about justice. Who gets to benefit from change and who doesn't? Asterisk legal cannabis is now a $30 billion industry. In the US, there are weed tech startups, THC delivery apps, cannabis cafes, celebrities launching their own strains. It looks fun. It looks modern. It looks harmless. But behind the glass countertops and rainbow packaging, there's something we don't talk about. Potency. The THC content. In today's cannabis is not the same as it used to be. In the 70s, THC levels were about 2 to 4%. Today, products can hit 90% THC. This isn't weed anymore. This is chemical-grade extraction. Asterisk studies now show clear links between high THC cannabis and psychosis, especially in adolescents, especially in people with genetic risk factors for mental illness. A landmark study from the Lancet Psychiatry found that daily use of high-potency cannabis increases the risk of psychotic disorders by nearly 5 times. People say weed is safer than alcohol. And maybe that's true for adults in moderation. But for teens, with daily use of dabs, wax, and concentrates, that's a different story. It's not about being anti-weed. It's about acknowledging what today's weed actually is, and what it's doing to people. Asterisk, I spoke with several young people. Some started smoking at 14. Most used concentrates by 16. One girl told me she used to vape THC before every class. Eventually, she couldn't sleep without it, and she couldn't eat. Then came the panic attacks. Then came the voices. Another teen said he thought weed would help his depression. At first it did, and he started feeling detached from reality. He stopped going outside. He stopped seeing his friends. He said, "I didn't feel high anymore. I felt gone." These stories aren't rare. We just don't hear them, because the narrative is controlled by people making money from silence. Asterisk, let's talk about TikTok. Instagram, YouTube weed content is everywhere. Aesthetic dispensaries, funny stoner memes, edibles shaped like candy. Weed marketed like fashion. This isn't an accident. It's marketing. And the target isn't 40-year-olds with back pain. It's 18-year-olds with anxiety. It's college students who want to relax. And nobody's telling them what high-potency cannabis really is. No one's saying, hey, this isn't your parents' weed. Asterisk, let's be clear. Cannabis can be medicine. It helps people with chronic pain, epilepsy, cancer, PTSD. The science behind CBD in particular is promising. And for many, marijuana has been life-changing. But what's happening? Today isn't about medicine. It's about mass commercialization. We took something powerful and made it a lifestyle product. We turned it into an industry. Before we fully understood what it does, that's dangerous. Not because weed is inherently bad, but because we stopped asking questions. Asterisk, here's what most people don't realize. Weed was illegal to study for decades. It was a Schedule I drug, so scientists couldn't touch it. Now researchers are scrambling to catch up. And the early results? Conflicting, incomplete, but not irrelevant. We know that cannabis affects memory, attention, learning especially. In young users, we know it can trigger latent mental illness in some people. We just don't know exactly how, but the industry isn't waiting for that data. They're already selling it, delivering it, shipping it, branding it as harmless asterisk. So, what do? Do we ban it again? No, that failed. Do we ignore the risks? Also no. That's what's happening now. What we need is balance, education, transparency. We need to treat cannabis with the same seriousness we treat alcohol and tobacco, regulated, researched, labeled clearly. We need to protect young people, especially their brains, which are still developing. We need to empower users with truth, not marketing hype. Because this isn't about fear, it's about informed choice. Asterisk, this isn't a video about banning weed. This is a video about telling the truth. Weed isn't evil, but it's also not harmless. It's a powerful substance, and the way we talk about it matters. Right now, we're in the middle of a social experiment, and no one signed the consent form. So let's slow down. Let's look at the data. Let's listen to people's real experiences. Let's stop pretending we already have all the answers, because the truth is we don't. But if we're brave enough to ask the right questions, we might finally have a conversation worth having. Asterisk.